of the Jerusalem Press Club, JPC, with General Eitan Dangot, former coordinator of the government activities in the territories, known as COGAT, who will speak about the situation in Gaza and the ramification for Israel. Gaza and the West Bank ramifications for Israel. Just a reminder, later today, 5:30 p.m., we'll have another webinar with Ori Ben-Herzl, CEO of Migal, about the race to find a cure for the coronavirus. I want to thank my colleagues at JPC for facilitating this webinar. And General Dangot will start with a short introduction, and then we'll open up for Q&A. You are on mute, so please type your questions on chat, and the General will answer them. Major General Eitan Dangot is a former Israeli coordinator of the government activities in the territory, military secretary to 3 defense ministers. He was director of economic development program for Northern Israel, and currently he's the president of the Association of Oil and Gas Exploration Industry in Israel. He has a bachelor's degree in computer sciences and economics, as well as an MBA from Bar Ilan University. General Dangot, thanks for being with us. Please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I will try in the coming minutes to try to analyze the corona influence impact about the bloc of Israel with the West Bank and Gaza concerning the opportunities, the threats that has developed. My main principle is the fact that before coming and make a division between Gaza and the West Bank, I would like to say that above all, we cannot separate it topographically, and the main mission of Israel to try to overcome on the corona and to low down the number of people that get sick is absolutely connected to the situation in the West Bank, especially, but also to Gaza. If I may try to say that on the daily life, the life being together between Israelis and Palestinians together in the West Bank are coming to this kind of, let's say, adventure or target now by the fact that the living together in the West Bank, that or more than 2.8 million people are living in the West Bank, and more than 500,000 Israelis living together, moving the same roads together. Many of them, of the Palestinians, are working in the settlements, and over 100,000 people, legal and illegal, are working in Israel. It's meaning that people who are meeting on the same supermarket while they are making their shopping in Gush Etzion or such kind of areas, and above all, the mechanism of coordination and cooperation that is running between the PA and the Israeli authorities, due the Israeli Defense Forces, is making the West Bank, in my opinion, much more easy to try to working together and to create such a model that both sides will succeed to overcome on the main problem. I will try to bring you a sentence that I'm used to saying in the media before the corona, that in my opinion, the threats over Israel towards the 2 parts of West Bank in Gaza, that Gaza is urgent and the West Bank is important. After the corona, I think it has changed, that the West Bank is urgent, but Gaza is much more important, and I will try to explain it. Now, when we are coming, I think that first of all, the health system in the West Bank is much more higher and close to the system in Israel. It comes while maintenance, equipment, doctors, exchange of information. Secondly, the West Bank adopted absolutely the Israeli policy how to deal with the corona. The West Bank was divided by the Palestinian authorities to many zones, that each one of them is closed by blockades of the security organization. Secondly, also, in this kind of fact, I think they adopted the same system to prepare centers to those who get ill and to separate hospitals and to have a special areas for corona illness. And the third is to make or to instruct the population in the West Bank to be in such of a closure, to be most of the time in their home. Above all, came also two economical decisions. First, till now, and now it's going to on a process of changing, Israel allowed to more than 70,000 Palestinians to continue working in Israel, stay in Israel over months. Now, while the interior closure in Israel is more and more coming to steps to not allow anyone to be out of his home and lower the number of those who are get permit to work, most of them are on the way back to the West Bank. That means that it was done with on the same agreement by the Palestinian authorities, because besides of the healthy threat, I think that the economical threat to the West Bank on Gaza is not lower than the healthy problem they are facing. What does it mean? On effect, that will be a shaking economical situation in the West Bank, and we will talk about it a few minutes on Gaza. There is a threat that in the West Bank, the stabilization of the authorities of the PA in the streets all over will unite the problem with the corona, and that for the medium and the long range can create a threat that Israel should prepare itself towards it, to a scenario of chaos that can be, but this is not as a chance now to happen in a high percentage, but we have to deal it in account. So what does it mean? Israel has to continue its cooperation with the West Bank as it is working now. Secondly, it's a cooperation in the level of ELSI to support them, to help them also to get some money. Israel made a step of moving 120 million Israeli shekels to the West Bank. And in my opinion, as we are taking Gaza and we are taking the West Bank, we have to prepare the area to achieve our targets with the Palestinians, or we will talk about Hamas, in the period of 3 months. We have to calculate our steps. Next step on June, in my opinion. Till then, we have the Ramadan in the end of April. And in my opinion, both sides, Israel, in the West Bank and Gaza, especially in Gaza, May will be a very important month to see how it goes. So this kind of cooperation, economical, is much more easy that is running on the daily life between Israel and the West Bank. With the Palestinian Authority, you have to pay attention to the fact that Abu Mazen came now down. He's not very active. He is in his home. To my last knowledge, he's feeling well. And as long as Abu Mazen is staying in the first place, but the main actor is becoming his prime minister, Muhammad Ashtiya, that is dealing with these people in our people. What is really sorry me is the fact that the Palestinian authorities like Shtaya and the others are trying to use and prepare like excuses or reasons to scenario of a problem by the fact they are creating kind of blaming Israeli soldiers who are going to make especially things to increase the number of illness in the Palestinian authorities. It's dramatically the opposite while we are talking with them and sitting with them. So as long as we keep it, this mechanism, I think that the more chance till Abu Mazen is the number one and we are not on a process of fighting who will be the next, the corona and the economy situation can be under control in the Palestinian Authority. Israel should give much more money to the Palestinians based on the agreement that we have with them of returning of taxes and also make some payment earlier. As more as there is insurance for the economy situation, it's insurance for the healthy and for the other. In my opinion, the terror activities that are still on the mind, the youngers are still throwing stones or something like this, we will be able to overcome welcome with the Palestinian authorities on the situation, but we have to be more flexible with our duties towards and to be like a goalkeeper and to help them to get help. While we are moving to the other direction, to Gaza, Hamas is absolutely, I think, in a situation of worried because they are aware that their entity can be jumped from the situation now to a scenario of chaos in much more rapid timetable than in, as I compared it to the West Bank. Situation on Gaza basically is much more problematic. Economic is on the ground, the health level of doctors, professionality, equipment, hospitals is very low. And that is, by the way, the outcome of the fact of the aids between the PA and the Hamas itself. So the PA today is not dealing at all at Gaza. They are leaving Gaza problem to us and to Egypt. So Hamas made immediately the closure that already exists in Gaza. There are two gates, due Israel and due Rafah from Egypt. And according to their details that I have a lot of doubt about it, I think they're hiding a lot, they build centers to get more than 1,000 of people. They build it very fast. They have now 22 or 24 centers like this. And above all, they are trying to get much more medical equipment. But the risk today that if the corona is moving ahead because of the population and the urbanic situation in Gaza that is very crowded, because of a situation of there is sterilized conditions, it can climbing in days and short time to a situation that we will identify Gaza as one of the most problematic or places that are suffering. So what to do? First, in my opinion, we have to help Gaza to get as more as we can assist, help, and convince NGOs or World Organization and other countries to support Gaza with regular medical equipment. Pay attention to the fact that today Europe, or that was one of the main supporters to the PA or to Gaza, is not playing a major role now because everybody is busy with itself. So the only players now can be Qatar with financing the fuel, the money, I mean, Egypt, Israel, some NGO organization, and I think that we should, let's say, increase our involvement by trying to get more and more medical equipment, also food and humanitarian kind of help, even though in Kerem Shalom, major crossing every day, more than 500 double container trucks are still entering. But we have to make sure that first they have enough for the coming 3 months, as I said. Secondly, for the Ramadan. And I know that we are trying here and there to help them by instructing doctors that have no international context how to deal with the corona. If we are trying to do what Hamas will react to such scenario that they are feeling or they have proved they are losing control because the street in Gaza is sad. What does it say? It said for me what happened to him since March 2018 while they started all their terror activities among the fans. The street lose. Maybe Hamas feel they got some achievements, but on the other end, the situation is more and more threatening towards the street. The Gaza's people are not the people that will make kind of revolution, but the anger, the unpleasant situation will risk the Hamas. So Hamas, I think, meanwhile, will release from time to time opportunities to some kind of groups to launch sporadically rockets towards Israel, just to remind we need to be on the table, under the attention. But if it comes to a scenario, because that I put May as a very important month, that the situation is going and the escalation will be more and more problematic, there is a chance that we will see Hamas and Jihad Islamic trying to create such a kind of terror escalation, that no one is serving these targets or towards the threat. On the other end, I think that besides the risk and the threats, we have opportunities because of the situation. With the West Bank, we have to strengthen the good basic that we have under the civil and the security cooperation. But with Gaza, I think, even without signing and make a special statement, I think that this is opportunity that Hamas will agree by understanding for a long or medium term of ceasefire, even for something like a year, that during this time, we can, when you close the opportunities of fire, you open opportunities of other things. But Hamas has to pay, like by their hands, for such a scenario, like making some humanitarian steps towards Israel, that like return the bodies of our two soldiers or release the illegal way of their occupying some prisoners of Israel that need to be back home. In such small steps, I think that we can create timetable that first of all will serve the local targets of Hamas to survive. Secondly, for the population to give them the opportunity and not to create a big disaster from the corona, and to stop the humanitarian threat that can be or can together with the healthy can create a chaos in Gaza. So we need other players for such a thing. Other players means Egypt, first of all, it's playing a very important role. Qatar with the money. Qatar is changing its policy. You cannot trust them, but today I think they recognize the situation very well. We need some other NGO organization. Maybe even Turkey will move a little bit. Everything can be by opportunities besides the risk, so we can do it on a way that we can achieve the opposite. For now, the main and I think target together or goal is to prevent from the corona to move Gaza, the West Bank, and of course inside Israel to uncontrolled situation. At the same time, to prevent any kind of economical disaster that has more a chance to happen in Gaza, and to give the people, especially in the West Bank, the trust that till now they voted by the way they behave since 2008, that the economy is above all, and to give them the feeling that everything or the proof under such a control. So besides this risk, besides this cooperation, we have also opportunity.
Thank you for this introduction. Obviously, out of the two issues, Gaza is the more pressing one. And still Gaza is controlled by Hamas, which is considered by Israel as a terror organization, but at the same time they are the de facto government, and the relationship with them or working with them was always problematic. Do you see a way in which Israel can change the relationship with Hamas, move the relationship to a more formal one?
I don't see it as a, let's say, immediate opportunity. It will not change. Hamas is a Muslim Brothers radical extremist movement, and it will stay. They will not change their ideology. On the other hand, Israel, I think, understand already that the hate between Hamas and the PA is making a division between those two entities. So we have now, for the coming 3-4 months, to complete with the situation in Gaza, and we complete with it under such of understanding that has started already before the corona threats, health problem. I think that we can try by moving ahead towards Gaza by giving some insurance that Egypt will be involved and others, as it is now. We don't have to speak with Hamas directly, and we should not speak with Hamas directly, but enough. Both sides are understanding the issue of how helping to cross this great problem together. So in a way that make it, I believe, in a step by step and not by dramatic changes. So coming to understanding of 1 year of ceasefire and supporting Gaza and give Hamas the opportunities to be, and they will stay in the entity, you cannot change in such circumstances the entity and to fight. Let's make it on the side and try to build a kind of, let's say, trust to long-range ceasefire or medium. I think it will be the main great achievement. But when it runs, you cannot know to where it can develop. And I believe in such a steps.
Let's talk about a doomsday scenario. Let's say it goes out of control, the coronavirus, and in Gaza, with all this density of population, it can happen. Is there something Israel can do proactively, like go in with the doctors or something? Because it's going to be a humanitarian disaster.
Your question or your remark is very, I think, you are very right. We have to be there at now, that besides the plans to what you are working now, you have to prepare also in the military, you are always preparing yourself to the worst case scenario. And worst case scenario is to see, first of all, if this is happening, how you can build or you can assist help. I don't believe that you will see Israelis, Jewish, are going inside to Gaza. I believe that in such a scenario, we can help them with the Israeli Arab doctors. We can help them by calling or having support from Arab countries, like we have a much more close relations than in the past, to send field hospitals about the equipment that we say, about energy and other things. So in such a scenario of supporting such a problem, we have to be involved for helping them and to see they are getting the test kit for checking the people if they are got ill in corona. You have to prepare it like you have to prepare it with the West Bank to see that all the needs of the storage in Gaza is giving the demand for this coming month. So I'm sure that on the former place that I've been the coordinator of the government activities in the territories, together with some Israeli ministries and together with the IDF, of course, we have to prepare ourselves to such a scenario. And in my opinion, in Gaza, as I say, it could happen rapidly. So such a scenario in Gaza can jump in a month to a place that really is not the same place that we are today. That's the reason that I believe that and give the people to pass the Ramadan in a way they will stay at home and will fulfill. In Gaza, it's very difficult to fulfill the demand to stay at home and not to go outside. There is such of instructions by Hamas. People are not fulfilling it absolutely, and even not in the West Bank. In Gaza, as I said, it's much more important. So you have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare it yourself in security life, like they're coming back to defense, creating a rocket. But I think the Israeli reaction last Friday to the rocket that was launched shows a very strong policy that Israel, on one hand, we will do the best to help you to pass it as we are trying to ourselves and to the West Bank. On the other hand, the moment starts violence with terror, we will not be on the same level. So make your calculation by yourself. So that's the reason that I don't see Hamas coming to this escalation very quick. I said, in my opinion, it can come on April, May. It's enough time till then to build the opposite of the opportunities that I mentioned before.
There's a question by Hannah Beris. Do you think there is a danger that precisely now, because of the closure, and the fact that people know Abbas is at home, there might be attempts by radicals on the West Bank to create chaos there.
I think the chance is absolutely is there, but is in a low level, because I think that we see today that with all the challenges, the PA is succeeding to cross such scenarios. Till the moment that something, if Abbas is moving his place, it will be a danger. So that is the reason that till now, I see the security organization in the West Bank very stabilized. I think that we are working with them in a very cooperative and understanding way. I spoke with some of my former colleagues and I got impression that it's working. The IDF, the Ministry of Treasure, and the Ministry of Health knows how to cooperate, but on the other side, it depends on their character that always is using such circumstances to try to create escalation by trying to bring to people's mind to growth, the hate towards Israel. This remark by Shtaya, that is really on one end trying to be a prime minister, very active, pragmatic, but I know him, and he's trying to build himself to the day after Abu Mazen. And if they continue in such a statement, poor statement, pity for them to use it, to say that like in Hebron, Israeli soldiers are bringing the disease or the illness to the population, they should stop it immediately because they will pay, it means the PA or the Fatah, the price. So meanwhile, I see much more strong stabilization in the West Bank, but the challenges there when the workers are returning and it can bring more people who are sick, are creating effect to continue to work together, but their structure, the mechanism we are working with, the support they get from Israel, healthy and in other ways, I think is the main tool to continue, and I see it's the dominant to bring us to pass this period.
We are ready to wrap up. There's a question from Joe Dyke from AFP. He asks, his indications so far is that Israel has made it clear that corona cases will not be eligible for transfer from Gaza through areas for treatment in Israel, even if the health systems there is overstretched. Is that your understanding? And do you think it's a sensible policy to restrict the disease?
I think that the separation today between Israel and Gaza and Israel in the West Bank, especially while in Gaza, the information that is coming to Gaza that low number of people and they prepare themselves with sites to bring inside those who are entering to Gaza is, I think, the policy till now is good. I don't see now opportunity to mix or to bring people for Gaza for the corona to Israel. We have to see that Gaza has enough of machine briefing or else to support those who will need it. We have to see that the field hospital that was built near Erez crossing by NGO organization will be active very quick. It can take 2,000 people per day, and I think that I heard it has 200 beds. We have to help them to prepare other places, and I don't see the situation today that we have to change this healthy policy, but we have to make it according the timetable. As we're sitting every day, as the information will be very open to us, as Hamas will make it clear that they are moving ahead, the violence and terror tools, and they give the opportunities to work together, everybody will have the benefit of such a step.
Last one, General Dangot. I don't know if you had the chance to read what writer David Grossman wrote 2 weeks ago, I believe, saying that obviously the coronavirus crisis will change the attitudes of people, and maybe Arabs and Jews will start saying to themselves or to each other, why have we been fighting each other for 100 years? You think this crisis will change attitudes of Arabs and Jews?
I think that even in the global level, this crisis is it's already a red light to the human people all over the world, especially to our area. I believe to the population, it will raise a lot of thinking and thoughts together. And I believe there is a chance, it for sure will make changes. We will not be the same area, the same world as we have before. I hope that the leaderships of such groups, of the extremist movement like Jihad Islami, Hamas, Iran, they are the problem of the Middle East. I think that even before, the modern Arab countries are in another place. So the corona will, I believe, will join to this kind of thinking much more people. But the main question under such totalitarian entities will be how the people will react as more groups of population will force their leaders to change and to make other priorities, like the people in Gaza will force Hamas to change their life, what they need to come as they stop it on the 30 March to come to the fence to make violence and they stop it, it should be that mainly the lessons between people, between groups of people, the religious issue will go to another place. Whether I'm so optimistic in the Middle East, tell you the truth, I don't see Hamas or other radical movement that in their flag is the main thing to kill and to be behind their ideology still, till they are staying and not being replaced, we will have to manage it again, but for sure in a different opportunities that give also positive thinking that they will be forcing or they will be limited by their own people.
General Dangot, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. And when the dust settles, we'll be happy to invite you to talk about gas in the Mediterranean. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Just a reminder, later today, 5:30, we'll have another webinar with Ori Ben-Herzl, CEO of Migal, about the race to find the cure for the coronavirus. And tomorrow at 2 p.m., we'll have Shira Greenberg, Chief Economist of the Ministry of Finance, who will speak about the new recovery program. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you and wishing everybody a health period.
Thank you.